Howdy, everyone. Welcome to Narrative Dissonance on Unsafe Space. Today is June 27th. That's what it is. And I'm Carter. This is a show where we question the mainstream narrative. We bring on panelists. We yell at each other for a while. Sometimes we laugh. Don't forget to support us. Please go to unsafespace.com. Blah, blah, blah. All the marketing things. It costs money to do this. Please help share the content. I don't feel like saying all of it. Welcome people in chat. Let's see. I actually don't know when the next book club is, and I don't even remember the book, but it might be the book by Alex Epstein. Beverly, can you pop on and tell me what the next book is? I don't know. I think it's that book, but I don't remember. And I don't know when it is. But if you want to get a head start, what book is it?
Fossil Fuels or something? You chose it.
I know, but I don't remember.
It's called. I think it's Fossil Fuels. Or double check. Let me double check.
Fossil Future. That's the name of the book.
Fossil Future. Okay. All right. Yeah. All right.
Yeah. Okay. So
we have not chosen a date.
Yeah.
Thanks, Alex.
Fossil Future: Why Global Human Flourishing Requires More Oil, Coal, and Natural Gas, Not Less. That's the name of the book. So that should get us in trouble with everyone. Okay. Thank you.
Alex remembers because she's already started reading it, so that's why we can't back out now. So.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. And then there's no Dangerous Thoughts this week, but I think there's going to be a Rebel Civics on Wednesday, so check that out. 451, this is an off week for 451, but it'll be back next week. There is Token Minority Report on Thursday night, so check that out. That's with Beverly, who you just saw, and Alex. So I think that's all this. Oh, one more scheduling thing. I'm out next week. There's no Narrative Dissonance next Monday. Enjoy your Independence Day. Do that. You might have there might be another special show that day, but I'm not around, so I will be out. And also, as a result, there's no Dangerous Thoughts next Wednesday or this Wednesday. So that's out. I'm out for 2 weeks. All right. Blah, blah, blah. We got through all that crap. Howdy, everyone in chat. Let's bring on our panelists. Let's first welcome Sunny Lohmann. Sunny is the host of the House of Sunny podcast and a political satirist who was a regular contributor to PJ Media and whose popular videos can now be seen on her YouTube channel, House of Sunny. You can follow her on Sunny Lohmann. That's LOHMANN. And the Sunny is like it's sunny out, SUNNY. Facebook, YouTube, we'll put links to that stuff below. Sunny, welcome.
Hey, thanks. Good to be here.
Good to see you. It's been a while.
Yeah.
And our second panelist is again someone that I think you'll all recognize. L, a.k.a. Some Bitch I Know. I love saying that, by the way. I love saying I'm talking to some bitch I know. Many of you know her as the relentless researcher behind SomeBitchMedia and the personification of its tagline, Cite Your Sources or Get the Fuck Out. She's helped explode mainstream narratives around the COOF, the 2020 election, Jeffrey Epstein, and other issues. She's been banned from Twitter more times than I've tweeted, I'm pretty sure. She was also recently banned from Discord, where her entire server and all of her admins were also booted off of Discord. You can find her at SomeBitchToldMe.com or on Gab at SomeBitchIKnow. Hey, Al.
You make me sound so much cooler than I am.
You're the edgiest person here. Elle,
you're cooler than you think you are. That's the
thing. Is the best place to follow you Gab? Is that pretty much where you're...
Probably Gab. I mean, I do also have a Telegram and a Truth Social account, but mostly on Truth Social. I've been testing the limits of their censorship and then causing a lot of drama. So relating to it.
You censored or close to it on Truth Social?
Well, it's funny you should ask, Carter. So about a week ago, there was a story about a teacher out of Hawaii who was caught raping a 13-year-old, filming it, and then sharing it with another teacher on the state side.
I saw that.
What the hell?
Yes. Absolutely horrific. And then also their entire social media, of course, was still available on Twitter. And I bet you could never guess what it looked like. Anyways, I scraped their Twitter and we were going through it. And so I was just like, doing a little bit, because I have my own podcast, y'all, on Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday nights, where I was just like, hey, I scraped this person's Twitter. We're going to go through it on the show tonight. And I just posted that whenever I post on like Gab, Truth, and on Telegram, I usually post just like the same thing for like the major posts, because otherwise like like it just saves time, copy paste all the way across. And so I went back to Truth a little bit later to add something to it or to check and see what kind of traction I was getting, because I was still kind of curious about the platform, and I realized that the post wasn't there. And so of course, you know, me, I was like, oh well, maybe it's still a new site, it's still a new social media platform, who the heck knows. And so I posted it again, just copied and pasted it, posted it again, waited a couple minutes, went back, and it wasn't there. And so I then was like, well, this isn't right. And so I got OBS out, you know, and started screen recording, and it allowed me to post the post that I wanted to make, where I just said, this disgusting pedo was caught filming raping a child and sending it to another teacher stateside. We're going to talk about their scrape social media on my show tonight. And on Truth, I got the irony of this name, Truth Social. On Truth, you get like a notification. It's like, hey, posted, you know, confirmed. Do you want to view your post? And so I clicked view post, and it showed, you know, that it was there. And then I waited about 5 seconds and hit refresh, and it was gone. And so I did a little bit of A/B testing with the different phrases, and then it turns out if you call anyone or anything a disgusting pedo,
Not allowed.
it gets
Are you
erased.
kidding?
It gets erased.
What
and
if
you
it's
don't even
Jeffrey Epstein or like
you don't
or
get a
an actual
notification
disgusting
or
pedo?
anything.
Are you supposed to put like cool pedo, or
Yeah.
is there some other
A totally not
qualifier that
disgusting
we're
pedo.
allowed? Like not
Yeah.
disgusting at all.
You know, I mean,
Intelligent
pedo.
pedo, handsome pedo. Is that allowed?
right. I don't know. And so a lot of people started coming after me because they're like, why are you trying to like to get a gotcha on Truth Social right now? Like, this is like supposed to be like, and I'm like, listen, if someone's censoring the phrase disgusting pedo, like you can say this on Twitter. Like you can say someone is a disgusting pedo on Twitter and it won't get like erased. Like the
Unless you
bar
misgender them.
well, that's true. That's true. Well, they are a disgusting pedo. See?
Nice.
See, you know, I can get with the times. And so then, of course, rather than asking for forgiveness or for permission or whatever the phrase is there, I just started making a bunch of drama about it. I'm like, listen, like what this is happening, and not only you don't get a notification, you don't get like a hey, you violated like this term of our user agreement. You violated this TOS. Like they just erase it. And that's it. You don't even know unless you're
That's
like watching your
worse.
posts unless you're like watching your posts like a hawk like I am, because I'm like, what the hell's happening here? And by the way, I don't have pink eye. I got a lot of shampoo in my eyeball. So if anyone's wondering, it's just shampoo. Don't worry about it. But no. And so like I started like, raising a stink about it. And so then a couple of Truth Social, employees, we're like, oh, this is a mistake. We use AI to monitor the content on here.
We use AI to prevent people from saying disgusting pedo.
Yeah, this was a mistake, right? It's called Hive, by the way. It's based out of San Francisco, and it's just about the worst. It's like developed in China. Yeah. They use Hive AI, and so they're like, "Oh, it's a big mistake," right? And so, they passed the buck, and so then I was able to start using the phrase "disgusting pedo," but other people were not. And so it's like they like changed like a rule for me, but not other people. And one of the
AI knows it's okay for you to speak that way, but not.
I don't know. I mean, I don't pretend to know how the back end of a social media platform works, but I assume that they might. I don't know how it works, so I'm speaking just or speculating wildly here. But I assume that they did something for me that they did not do for other people. And one of the things that I've always said is that I've been blessed with a very, with a big platform, a lot of reach, and like, what kind of an asshole would I be if I used it for my own gain and not to help other people or like make sure that other people have the same things that I have? So then, of course, people are. By and large, most everyone's been pretty agreeable with the whole thing. But then some people are like, why are you trying to like discredit Trump? And I'm like, I genuinely don't give a shit who's associated with this. Like, if this is what's going on here, it's a bad platform. So that's what I've been doing over at Truth Social.
Just no, I'm glad.
Fight. But how stupid is it to find out that they have just picked a biased AI like off the shelf?
It's not good.
They expect that to help them create the one social media that's supposed to allow free speech. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Oh, I've heard a lot of dumb things, but it's up there. And I was really excited when I first joined. Like, there's a lot of good energy, like, and not like in like a like hippy dippy way, but like there's a lot of like it's a very high energy platform.
Yep.
There's a lot of people that are very, very excited to be there. I've been like reuniting with people who are like, Gab puts them off a little bit. They're like, Gab's a little too much for me, and I'm like, all right, well, Truth Social is a good place to like meet in the middle. I've been like reconnecting with people that I haven't really talked to since like my like first or second deplatforming. And like it's been really great. I've been really, really excited about this platform, at least to like participate with it or on it in part. But it's been a bit of a letdown, to be honest. But I have high hopes that, they'll either listen to my criticism or they'll ban me, in which case,
I'm
no
sure
tough loss
Trump's
for me.
listening to this show. We'll just
Yes.
appeal to
Yeah,
Trump,
Trump
right
listens. I'm sure he'll give me a call later and be like, I never want Elle on your show
It's-
again.
You know,
Because Truth Social is the best. It's everyone says it.
I don't like to, but when I was on Twitter, I had a lot of people following me. And one of those people was Donald Trump Jr. And I used to
That's
DM him.
cool.
I used to DM him sometimes. I'm like, Donald Trump Jr., you have to look at this. And then like I would like see it on one of their timelines and I'm like, yes. So
Yeah.
like, hey, it's been a long time.
Gotta
now.
remember, Trump's not a technologist, so he's
No.
probably just like, I don't know, put some pieces together, guys. Make me a
Isn't what's
social
his
media
face in
network.
charge of it? Isn't it Nunes in charge of it?
Nunes. Yeah.
Is Nunes in charge?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's just,
All right.
I mean,
It's
overall, it's
Hive
a dumb
AI.
decision to buy that off of a shelf. And the critical component, the selling point of their whole marketing, their site at all, the reason anyone would go there. And they've just damaged that by picking an AI off the shelf. That's so dumb.
Well, if they would at least give you a notification that were like and said something like, "Hey, this post has been taken
Appeal
down
this,
for
appeal
X
here, or
Y
something like
for
that.
XYZ
Yeah.
reason," but they just delete it.
That's great.
Yeah,
And they don't
like,
even
if I
they don't
wanted
even
to
tell you.
if I wanted to do a quick, like, if someone to put together a social media platform quickly, I might grab an off the shelf AI that I could tweak later, but I might have it also just send messages to people and say, hey, the AI thinks this is bad, but we don't trust our AI right now. If this is not like,
Yeah.
here's our rule. If you don't think it violates our rule, please tell us and we'll fix the AI. We'll take a look and fix the AI.
Yeah.
But
Like I
but
said,
you have to be transparent about it. You can't just be like, ghost.
Yeah.
You're
How are the
things.
other sites? What's going on at Parlay? Is it Parlay? I think it's
Parler.
Parler
I-
and
It should have
Getter
been
and-
Parlay.
I never liked Parler.
Parlay
Parler.
would be
Talk about a
perfect.
piece of shit, technically.
It never functioned well. No.
No, it's always
It still
been
exists.
a mess.
Technically.
I could never get it to like. It was just so glitchy.
Yeah,
That's my
it's
problem.
super
Yeah.
janky.
Yeah.
It's always been janky, and now, assuming Elon Musk like completes his Twitter sale, there's no reason for Parler. I mean, there might be a couple of these other
Is
ones
there a
that'll
reason
survive,
for
like
Truth
Gab. There's
Social?
people- I don't know, but there's hardcore people on Gab who will never go back to Twitter, right? Like L probably will never. I don't know, maybe you would, but like,
I mean,
there's
I make
hardcore
an
people
account.
that are
I
like,
make an
never.
account every now and then to just start drama, but I will never like return to to Twitter as like my like primary site ever.
Right.
Ever.
Right. So there's people like that, but a lot
The
of them are
damage
on
has been
Gab. I
done.
don't know that there's a lot of market demand beyond Gab and Twitter, frankly. There was.
Well, I mean, there's also Getter.
I was just going to ask
I
that.
forgot
What,
about
what
Getter.
about Getter?
I don't know.
Getter. I saw the CEO of Getter on Tim Pool or something, and I was like, that is establishment. That's just boring. The
Yeah.
guy's got no idea. No idea.
A lot of these platforms. Who was L? Were you were the one that told me about DuckDuckGo? I used to think DuckDuckGo was like anti-establishment, but they're not at all. They're just like,
no.
Yeah, we like privacy, but
Just another
we
brick in
also
the
love
wall.
biased news and censoring.
Isn't it just Bing? Don't they just use Bing?
Isn't that
DuckDuckGo?
Microsoft? Bing?
I
thought it was the same. Anyway,
know that they have a partnership with the World Wide Web Consortium, and they've signed the contract for the web that follows the Sustainable Development Goals set by the UN. And the
Yay.
DuckDuckGo has like joined like Meta and the World Economic Forum to like set the rules for like Web 4. So
is there any point to not use Google since Google works better?
I use Google depending on what I'm looking for, because sometimes you want to see like what other people are looking, like what other people are going to get when they look something up. So I kind of use it for that sort of.
So
like,
what do you
means,
use?
But I mean, I use DuckDuckGo, to be quite honest. There's not.
Yeah.
It's very situational based on what I'm looking for. I also use like a PDF search engine. So like if I'm ever looking for something like actual source material, it's called pdfyes.com, and it's powered by Google, but it circumvents all of their kind of throttling of information, and all of the results are going to be in the format of a PDF. So again, if you're looking for like white papers, like like
Supreme Court
relevant
decisions, for example.
Supreme Court decisions, or stuff with the COVID vax, I just go through there because you're going to circumvent all of this like circular reporting and all of the he said, she said, and go 9 times out of 10 directly to a primary source and be able to jump off from there. That's not for everyone, but that's the way I do it. So I use pdfyes.com more than almost anything, but no one's ever heard of it.
And L, just to tell people, you've got a really good list. Is it on Gab? You've got
It's
a
on
list
Gab.
of research resources on Gab. I don't know if it's a pinned Gab thing.
It's my second. The first one now is my grifter post, but it's my second pin post. So even if you don't have a Gab profile, you can go to gab.com/SomeBitchIKnow, and it'll be the second pin post. And it's just like a list of different resources I use.
Yeah, it's a great list.
I think there's an ice cream truck outside. What the heck? Sorry.
You want to go?
That's right. Yeah.
Man,
Wait, I was talking to someone. Oh, I know who it was. It was my daughter. I can't believe I forgot who it was. She was at a funeral for a relative that I'm not related to. Like, it was an older relative.
She's Carter.
It's kind of hilarious.
Okay.
She's at a funeral, and she said this is the funniest funeral she's ever been at because everyone was kind of crazy. They're all like New York Jews, crazy, doing those kind of crazy things. The workers at the actually they were at the burial, so they were at the graveyard. The workers at the graveyard flagged down an ice cream truck who pulled up during the service with its jingle playing and got ice cream during the service. I don't know why.
That's kind of funny though. No, that's kind of, like, honestly,
life goes on.
Yeah, right. It does. There will always be another ice cream truck, I guess. But to show you how well Parler's doing, I have 34,000 followers on Parler. The last post I made was like 1 month ago. 94 people saw it and 2 people liked it. So
hey,
that's a pretty.
That sounds like my Facebook situation.
Pretty good engagement over there. And I don't even know about Getter. I don't get on Getter anymore.
Well, look, I know, Sunny, you've got a hard stop today. So I'm going to start with you. What should we be talking about? What's the most important story that happened?
I mean, the big story, the court stuff, but it's like boom, boom, boom. There's been 4 rulings in a week, I think. All of them
I got a poll going
controversial.
right now for chat about which is the most important one. Right now, the New York police gun one is winning the poll, but number 2 is
really
the abortion one.
So you have the gun one, you have the abortion one, you have the prayer now.
School choice and coach prayer.
Coach can pray because, I mean, it's his own business. And then the school choice one.
Yeah.
It's incredible what this court is doing.
What do you think
now
about
I know why
what do you think
tried
about
to
all
assassinate one of them because it's crazy. What do I think about all of them? Anything that I mean, the abortion one for me, it's just really about decentralization. I like that. In this context of today, I like that. It seems like, and I don't like the courts taking on the role of the legislature. Our Congress is weird. Our legislature just doesn't do its job anymore. And there's that whole deep state making regulations, and then you've got the courts making law from the bench, and it's just out of balance for that reason, I think, a lot. And so I don't know. I mean, I'm not an expert on law, and I haven't really looked into Roe v. Wade or the decision, but I'm not hysterical about it. I don't understand I'm pro-choice, first trimester, and I'm not hysterical. I figure the states can deal with it. People can deal with it. They're now talking about gay marriage and stuff. I mean, that could also be a state issue. I'm okay with that. It's just not anything to get hysterical about. And I feel like there's a there's a weird thing in America where we really don't trust the republic or want people that we don't want people to have a say. We don't want people in other states to do things that when people talk about like, oh, all women, this ruling is important for all women. A lot of women are anti-abortion. A lot of women in these states where they're going to not allow it past the first trimester, or even, I don't really know what's going to happen. I'm not an expert on what the states want, but I just don't see anything to get all excited about here. Except
I just want to point out something. Abortion's no longer a women's issue because it's just for menstruators or pregnant people. So we can all have an opinion.
Yeah. Oh, it's funny how
Birth
fast we
givers.
know a woman is, right?
Right.
Now that word is being used, these people, they don't really care about a woman's choice. They don't really care about female happiness and health. Like, that's not their goal. So they have lost so much credibility with the whole trans, beating. Did you see the skateboarder? This full adult man skateboarder took the trophy from a 13-year-old girl who came in second.
No,
Some 30-year-old
What?
dude.
Wait,
Yeah,
I gotta
this
look
just
this up.
happened. Go to Daily Mail. It's right on the front page there. He's like an ex-Navy guy. He's 30, and he won the skateboarding championship. And the second runner-up was a 13-year-old girl.
All right, hold on.
And
I'll
when
put it
you
up on
see
screen.
stuff like that, and the left is like, "Oh, that's fine," and then they go, "You're taking away women's rights." What? They just have no credibility. They don't care. It's all tribal for them. And
Well, and sorry, go ahead.
it's not about law or what is the best social system, what is the best government, how should we do our checks and balances, how do we have a democracy, how do we live together, how do we create a good society. That's not their interest. Yeah, there it is.
Trans
I can't.
skateboarder 29 who beat 13-year-old girl. Did he identify as a teenager as well? I don't.
Apparently,
Ex-Navy
there
father
was
of
no
3?
age thing on it, but the fact that a 13-year-old girl is good enough to basically win the competition, she won it. She just lost to the dude who came in.
He was rejected from the Olympics for too much testosterone. Oh my God.
Yeah. Cheating a 13-year-old and a 10-year-old who came in
Man.
third. Divorced ex-Navy father of 3.
What an asshole.
There he is.
No, I mean,
Look at
seriously, what a
No.
dick.
him.
What is this?
What a dick. Are you being
Whoa.
ironic?
Is that
I am
Frida
being
Kahlo?
ironic, but really, you couldn't be a bigger dick.
I know. Right? How could anybody stand there and get the trophy and go, yeah, yay me?
Oh my God. Look at this poor.
Look at these little girls that he was competing against.
Wow.
Damn.
Yeah.
This is him?
Yeah.
Well, and there's another like 28-year-old.
I'm competing with 13-year-old girls. Look at me.
Looks like there's like another
I
like
crushed 'em.
biological female, like 28 years old. It looks like she came in like 4th. Like it's
Really?
not. Yeah, it looks like Christy Brown.
Yeah.
Christy.
Oh, is she?
So
Yeah,
like it's definitely.
There you go.
I don't know.
So older women like it's not for kids. Any it looks like it's
Yeah,
13
but,
plus
like,
or 10.
But
Here's
it
a
looks like
10-year-old.
it looks like it's mostly like well, I guess
Girls.
they said it was separated by gender, but like it's not necessarily like age. That's so sad. That's just so sad.
Yeah.
A lot of this though, you see I'm just going to use the word people to not get your YouTube channel taken down.
I don't
you see a lot-
hasn't censored us for this yet, but well, I guess
You see a lot of people who seem to desperately need their validation from children. And that's why you see a lot.
That's
you see
a
a lot,
thing, huh?
like, yeah. And like, that's,
These teachers of 5-year-olds who are like, my 5-year-olds approved of me today, and it just warms my heart. It just made my year. And it's like, what is wrong?
It
Because your
reeks of
5-year-old's
daddy issues.
terrified
honestly.
of abandonment and would agree with you if you said you were an alien. It doesn't matter.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's sick. It's so sick.
Yeah.
So I think, with that, and then you got Justin Trudeau who mandates vaccines, but he cares about a woman's choice. And so it's not in the Constitution. And there is no law. So either pass a law, and like these hypocrites too, AOC is out there, oh no, and Nancy Pelosi, it's just, they're actually in charge of the Congress and the presidency, and they could pass a law,
Right.
but they don't. So they're out just trying to foment division and hate. And when they're the ones who actually have the power to do something about it, if they wanted a federal law, I don't know that they have the political clout to make that happen, because most people don't want unlimited abortion.
Yeah.
Most people don't want
they had
that.
5 decades to codify Roe v. Wade, right? 5 decades.
Good point.
Earlier this year, they tried to codify Roe v. Wade until people started looking at it just a little bit closer, and it wasn't codifying Roe v. Wade. It was abortion up until the point of birth. It was so far gone and so extreme that even the left balked at it, and that's why they weren't able to get it passed. I mean, when you have control of the House, the Senate, and the executive branch, and you can't get something done, that should
There's a
tell you that
reason.
you've done something
That's
wrong.
right.
So again, 5 decades they had.
Yeah.
5 decades. Knew that this was coming, had their one shot at it earlier this year, and blew it.
Yeah. And people are freaking out. It's like, this is how our government is supposed to be. This is the way it's supposed to be, a state's issue, or Congress can do something, and they didn't. So they're really just yelling at the American system rather than like the specific issue. I don't really see it as it's not really about abortion. It's about how our government is set up and how it's supposed to work. And so I'm kind of, I don't know, I'm sick of the hysterics. I think it's all
it's
just
mischaracterized a lot. You hear on major news sources talk about, well, the law changed. I'm like, the law has not changed. Actually, there was no law. There has never been a law. There's not a law at the federal level.
That's right.
This is precedent
and
by a
morally,
Supreme Court, which is different.
Morally, you lose people when you are baking cakes to celebrate your abortion, and you're talking about how great it is, and we should tell teenagers, oh yeah, abortions are fine. And it's not fine. And being a slut is not fine. And
how dare you, Sunny?
There might be consequences.
I'm slut shaming.
Yeah, you're slut shaming.
Go for it.
And I only say that not as like I'm not religious, so I'm not saying this as, I'm saying this because every woman I know who has like a one night stand or does something slutty, they regret it and they feel like crap about it. And women stay in crappy relationships because those relationships become sexual and they get kind of stuck in them because you get attached and you have like an ego about it. And it's better to teach people to be more careful and more particular. And anyway, I don't think it started out that way, but in today's culture, it's let's bake a cake and celebrate our abortions and pretend like it doesn't matter. And then with this almost post-birth abortion, right? I don't really know the specifics, but I've heard people, if the umbilical cord is still attached, or it's horrifying.
Mm.
And third trimester abortions are horrifying to me. That's a baby in there. And the way we are medically, we can save babies after 21 weeks at this point. So and 20 weeks is halfway. So it's just, it gets really despicable at a certain point. And then they're like, no, this should be okay. But most people, and it's not just the religious right or something. Most people look at that and go, that's uncomfortable. They don't like it.
Yeah. I mean, there's a difference between, so I think you're seeing this on the left, but also you see it on the right, where they're unable to make a distinction between what the legal case should be, like what the law or the ruling should be, versus what they think is moral. Like I know, Sunny, you and I are on basically the same page with abortion, which is like, I'm fine with it in the first trimester. It really irks me out at the end of a pregnancy, and there's a gray area in between, and I don't know the answer to it, and like, I would be okay with some restrictions and whatever. Like, I get that, right? And I know other, I don't know where else stands, but like, there's.
I'm against it, but that's
okay.
all right.
So you're against the whole
Against
thing,
it
right?
from conception. I
Pretty
think you
much.
can make that case.
Right.
I think this is,
Right.
this isn't like some crazy thing. And
Right.
No, and
you've got all these people out there.
I used to feel the exact opposite of it. I went to college and fell into
brainwashed.
yeah, like literally. And I went to an SEC school in like the late aughts, but it happened to me. I used to think that it was like empowering ladies and all of those sort of things. And now, I mean, fundamentally, if you're wanting to just look at like basic biology, most scientists agree that life begins at conception, because that's the Paul, I think abortion should be legal up to the age of 35. You see, it's unique DNA.
If you make it to 35 and we don't kill you, well, then I guess
Is
you could
AOC
live.
under 35?
Hey,
That's my question.
I'm 32. I'm almost there.
You're almost there.
33 years left. Like
35 years is your probation in life.
It's unique DNA. And then realistically, the thing with Roe v. Wade, at least from what I understand, and again, I'm no legal scholar. I did take the LSAT once, but that's about all I got on, and I watch Night Court sometimes. But really the issue here is they want it to be about abortion, but it was never really about abortion. And if you want to get the state involved with declaring when life begins, and you put these these parameters on it, is it awareness? Is it being able to breathe on one's own? Is it being able to sustain one's own life? Because those sorts of things don't always go hand in hand with being a certain age, or can that cognitive ability can leave you towards the end of your life. And I really don't want the state getting involved in that whatsoever, and I want the state to protect life. Taking a completely non-religious aspect out of it, I want the state to protect life and to put no parameters on what makes a life valuable or not. And I think that you're getting into some very murky waters otherwise. When people talk about pregnancy that puts the mother's life at risk, well, ectopic pregnancy was never, it's not a viable pregnancy. It was never one of those things that was. You wouldn't go to your local, Planned Parenthood over an ectopic pregnancy. You would go to the hospital for that. You would be going to see a specialist over that. If you are talking about the health of the mother in terms of mental health, which is oftentimes the excuse that's used, I flat out don't see that as a reason to terminate a pregnancy. And again, I used to think the exact opposite of this. And again, I don't want the state to get involved in defining life. Other than life, biologically begins once there's a separate set of DNA, and that's at conception. So that's how I stand on it. So there.
Yeah, but I think a lot of people on the left or right are both looking at the federal government saying, we want you to dictate it to be our way, whatever it is. You need to dictate it to be our way. And again,
40.
I haven't even taken the LSATs, but I have watched Night Court and Matlock. So I got a leg up on L. I
never did watch Matlock.
Some other courtroom dramas, I guess. But if you just, you can pick, anyone can pick up their pocket Declaration of Independence and Constitution, which is the Constitution is the important part here. You can read it. You can look at it. There's no discussion of. First of all, there's clearly no discussion of abortion. But second of all, this gets into the, I don't want to say this. Clearly, murder is illegal. Clearly, states are allowed to make murder illegal. Clearly, states are not allowed to make murder illegal. They can't just be like, everyone over the age of 68, you're allowed to kill, right? Like that's not I don't think a state could get away with that and be a member of the union. That would be a problem, right? So, the question here is, what is when does a human get rights? When is it when they're human? Is it at some, are there all these other murky questions like,
Right.
is it when they're viable? Is it when they have human DNA? Is it when, and if it's a cognitive thing, then what happens with people who are cognitively disabled? Or like, there's gray areas there. And no matter what you think about those, they're not in this book. They're not in the Constitution. The founding fathers didn't say, here's where we say an individual gains rights, and here's what makes a human have rights, and here's why, and here's when they gain rights. And because that's not in there, if it's not in there, it's not up to the federal government. Like, it's just a super clear. It's super clear to me. It's not in there, so it's not up to the federal government. Like,
Right.
Well, it's life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, or property, depending on, which version you look at.
right,
so.
but I mean the Constitution doesn't say anything about like this is the definition, right?
Right.
This is what we. So, I think it's totally reasonable.
Yeah, so
to
where
say, like,
there
okay,
are
well,
categories where people are differing on this and arguing about it, it's important that the states decide, because that's how you diffuse the fact that people disagree. And for this many decades, we've there are people, not only do they think abortion is murder, but they're funding it with their tax dollars. And, it's disgusting to make somebody fund that if they think it's murder. And people on the left, you hear a lot of people on the left say, well, they're just religious. It's like a religious thing. But I rarely hear the religious argument. I hear mostly that they think it's murder and why. And, I'm kind of comfortable with it being a state's
If the left wants to separate church and state, then perhaps you shouldn't have had a bunch of leftist Congress men and women standing outside the Supreme Court singing "God Bless America."
When did that happen?
Like the day of or after.
Yeah.
Again, I myself am a Christian. I was not for the majority of my life. I found out a lot of I've kind of grown into a lot of like my beliefs and like feel very steadfast within them. But again, if you're going to argue about, and I'm not saying you, I'm like the royal you. If one is going to make the argument of like separation of church and state, then like all of their weird little shows of I guess sadness. I can't. It's a hard way to or like solemnity. I don't know. Like where
they pay lip service to religion an awful lot anyway.
Right. Or they wrap themselves up in like the slaver scarves and take a knee. It's like whatever they want to do. Well, it's flavor of the week. But again, 5 decades. 5 decades. They had to codify Roe v. Wade.
They could do it tomorrow. They had 5 decades. Forget it. They're outraged in the street. Tomorrow, they could be passing a law, trying to get a federal law.
They had their shot earlier this year. Though. They blew it.
Yeah.
They blew it.
Yeah.
But they're sending out tons of so much campaign fodder already. Like donate. Like I don't know how people are falling for this anymore. And I'm by no means carrying water for the GOP right now. I hate them all. But you've seen so many like Democrats be like, this is why it's so important that we like maintain the House and the like Senate this fall. And it's like, y'all have the majority right now. Where did it get you? It got you absolutely nothing that you wanted.
Passed the law you want.
It got you nothing.
It serves Democrats to rile everybody up into hysterics that the only way to fix this and that they can't do anything. They need more money and more power, and then they can fix it.
But gas is $20 a gallon, but you should send us a couple dollars.
Yeah.
That's hyperbolic.
Speaking of the separation issue, that's the other decision, was this prayer one. And I don't have a problem with somebody praying when they feel like praying. I don't have a problem with that. I think that's weird that they tried to stop him from doing that. That's
so
weird.
Can we just tell people who aren't familiar with that one what happened? Because that just happened like a few hours ago. Right.
Sure,
there's a football coach who was told, and I think it's college football, who was told, what is it?
It's a Birmingham school district.
Okay. It's not even college. Okay.
No, high school.
So he would pray on the field, and
after the game by himself.
By himself, not with the kids.
Yeah.
And he was told he couldn't do that. And then they decided that was against his freedom of speech. So that seems right.
And so can I just add a little bit of color? Apparently, people started like his thing that started out very personal became eventually people started like it became a thing, and a lot of people joined him from the team and the community to do the prayer after, whether win or lose, he would do a prayer right afterwards, and people joined him, and the school, according to the school, they were concerned that
it was becoming
if you
too
look
cool.
at
Too many. It was influencing kids or something, or
no. The first part of the First Amendment: Congress shall make no law establishing it, respecting the establishment of religion.
Yeah.
The school said, we're worried because we're partly funded through. I mean, we can get into the circuitous route of federal funds, but you could be perceived as speaking on behalf of the government when you're doing this, and therefore blah blah blah, and like
that's ridiculous.
That was their claim, and the Supreme Court said no.
Yeah,
he's allowed to pray.
Right.
I'm going to say something that you guys might disagree with though on this one. I kind of agree with the decision, but I'm still going to. The past few cases have been having me like I've been rereading parts of the Constitution, and honestly, the First Amendment is really fucking weak. The Second Amendment is pretty clear, despite what people want to say about it. This right, you have a right, shall not be infringed. The Third Amendment, soldiers can't do this thing. The Fourth Amendment, you have a right to be secure in your persons, can't be infringed. Like, it's very clear. The First Amendment doesn't say that your freedom of religion can't be infringed. It doesn't say that you have the right to free speech. It says,
that is
Congress shall make
interesting.
no law.
It's really just a federal admonition. But have you read the intent? I mean, have you read the founders?
I know the intent. I know the intent, but I know a lot of the philosophy of the founders, what they intended, and I understood that. But there's a reason why they wrote 10 amendments, and that's the one that they're just like, well, Congress can't do this.
Do you know what's weird about that, Carter? Is that for being so clear, the Second Amendment is the one that's been the most chipped away at.
It's so clear, though. It's so clear, right?
Yeah, it's really clear.
It's only about muskets, Carter.
It's only about what?
Muskets.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I think wasn't there?
Well, then freedom of the press is only about telegrams. What were they using back then?
I think there was a version of. I think at the time there were cannons, which you were allowed to have. Let's be clear. And I think there was a manual operated like turn the crank, fire quickly. Granted, it was a heavy weapon, but like there was no prohibition on weapons that would be on ships.
You mean weapons of war?
There was
God, I hate that phrase so much. Weapons of war. Like, come on.
No, you don't like the phrase?
No. It's so it's purposefully vague and ominous.
Yes.
Yeah, words are hard sometimes. It's purposefully vague and ominous. It's how they always want things. They want people in the dark and completely uninformed and weapons of war.
Right.
Like the left is pretty good at
had
an assault rifle.
Oh, yeah, spooky.
Ooh, it's for assault. Yeah, it's
the left is really good at these 3-word.
They really are. Like, honestly,
yeah.
I'm very impressed with their branding because like they'll get people to just repeat it into the ground and until it's completely lost all. It's like playing telephone, until it's completely lost all meaning entirely.
And there's something about that 3-word phrase that they have found that it really affects it. I don't know why it sticks.
Don't say gay. I mean, yeah, I could think of so many words. Weapons of war.
Yeah.
There's got to be something to that.
Yeah, it's all 3 words. I've heard that this is a thing they have figured out. Black Lives Matter.
Why don't we just copy them?
Why don't we?
We just suck, I guess. I'm a weapon of mass seduction. I don't know. We'll see.
That just means slut.
Prove it. Prove it. Weapon of mass seduction. So yeah. So okay. So so he's allowed to. So, but this is the weird thing. I want you guys to walk through this with me because I was thinking about this. The First Amendment says Congress shall make no law concerning these things. But Congress didn't make a law, so seems like it shouldn't be involved in this decision at all.
They should have just ended it after the 5th word, honestly. Just like done with it.
Yes.
Congress shall make no law.
Yes. Congress
Done.
shall not. Maybe the third
We're done here, ladies and gentlemen.
Fine there. Congress shall not. How about we? No.
How about don't? Sorry, carry on.
No, I think that's a.
I saw my opportunity and took it.
No, it's a good. I think we would be better off if there was just like a veto robot that came with the founding of America. That was just every time they tried to do anything was just no.
Nope. Yeah.
No.
You mean an AI?
Because very few
an
changes,
AI
I
off
guess
the
there were a
shelf
couple
that-
changes that were worth it. Yeah. Yeah, an
You're on
AI.
some now.
Like an AI that would catch you if you tried to say a despicable pedo.
Pedo, right.
Right? Something like that.
Can't say it.
Okay,
But
but
it is
so, okay.
interesting how people, Americans, do not get that the way the Constitution works and that it's supposed to be a limit on the government, not on us. It's not about granting us some kind of right or something. It's about stopping the government from violating rights we have. And that if there's no law, one thing I said on Twitter the other day, and I got a bunch of crap for it, which is weird, is that if there's no law, you can do it. Like you're not waiting to be allowed.
Right.
So you don't need the federal government. You don't need there to be a law allowing you to do something. That's what people seem to expect, that the Supreme Court gives them permission to have an abortion. You know what? If there's no law, you can just go have one. And it's the law thing that is the problem that you've got to go deal with, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, and I think a lot of people also don't get that, like, the federal government
Sucks.
was an agreement between states. And if you look at the Constitution, I mean, you could just see it in the Bill of Rights, right? Like, okay, Amendment 1 is that Congress can't do this thing. But most of the other amendments, or most of the other Bill of Rights, are just restrictions. I view them also as restrictions on what states can do. Hey, you're signing this. You've agreed that no one can infringe on gun rights because you have a right to keep and bear arms. That's a thing, right? So that's more of a. That's why I say things like the Second Amendment are much stronger than the First Amendment. If New York wants to pass a law saying, here's our limits on free speech, I don't like that. I would oppose it. I think it's bad. But I'm not sure anything in the Constitution really says they can't do that, at least as the first, the original Constitution. So, but they can't restrict gun ownership. That's very clear. We have it backwards.
This is the interesting problem too. Like where does the federal government step in? Is it whatever's in the Constitution? I mean, you had the slavery issue where there were all these states' rights. We want to be able to have slaves. And I think people use that a lot as the proof that the federal government should step in if people feel like a really fundamental right is being violated, a right to life. But with the abortion issue, you have both sides saying, but we're talking about life, not the other side.
Right.
So, but I don't really know the answer to that. Where does the state power end and the federal power begins in terms of protecting a fundamental right like that? At this point in our history, I'm comfortable with decentralizing as much as possible. And I think so I'm just kind of for that in general.
Right.
I don't know. That's maybe not the most sophisticated take, but culturally, I feel like we need to have more control and we need to have states be more powerful. And people just have to get comfortable with that. And for some reason, people are not comfortable living in California with people in Oklahoma making a different decision than them.
Right.
And about anything. They want everything to be controlled from the federal government.
Yeah.
The CDC, you know, and the NIH and all of these federal agencies, the FDA gets to decide what drugs you have. This is so much overreach. And so anything that throws it back to the states, I think that's just good for us and good culturally and will help us maximize our liberty at this point.
Look, I mean, it's so weird that there's so many protests about the Roe v. Wade overturning in California, like right here near me, all these protests in New York. It's like this, you know, this has zero effect.
Literally
on you,
nothing
right?
is
Like,
going to change for them.
nothing
Yeah.
changes here.
Well, but they
Like,
think that it's their right to control what people in other states do.
Right. No, that's the thing. Right. And that law, that in particular, I think the Dobbs, the abortion one, is going to fracture, which is a good thing, help fracture the nation into states. I actually think the gun ruling is going to do the same thing, even though it's saying states can't do this. A lot of them are going to try and start passing weird other laws to get around this. And I'm kind of hopeful that I want the U.S. to fracture. Like I'm
as much as possible without war, you know?
Yeah,
like,
no, I don't want
I'd
the
like
war.
to avoid civil war, but if we don't fracture, we're going to end up with war.
We're already in a
California
war.
to be very different than Texas, so people
We're
can
already
like
in a
have
war.
a very
It's just not being fought like with like, you know, conventional
weapons of
means.
war.
Yeah.
Weapons of war. Right? Like we're already there.
Yeah. No, you're right. But I mean, I think the way out, if there's a way out of this for liberty-minded people peacefully, it's through a fracturing of the political landscape, so that contrast becomes like, if California becomes full-on communist, for example, right? Just full-on, they just move further and further and further that way because they just decide, screw the federal government, we can't get what we want at the federal level. We're just trying to implementing whatever we want here. And the same thing happens in other states like Florida or Texas, but they go the other direction. It just makes that contrast stark, and I think that's really good because people can say, okay, well, I definitely know where I need to live now, right? Like it was kind of murky before, but now it's become crystal clear, and maybe that's how we separate without having a war. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I look around, I see stuff like, you know, what people are doing to children, and it outrages me, and I would like to stop it and save the kids, but I can't save every kid. I don't expect to save every kid. You know, if California, you kind of have to like take care of your own and your own community, and that's really the limit of where you can go. Otherwise, you're really an authoritarian. I mean, but at a certain point, are we in a union with people who are doing horrible things? And I think that's, you know, it comes like, say, to the slavery thing. Do you break apart, or do you force them to stop owning slaves, or what? You know, how do you resolve that?
I would have, had it been me, I would have broken apart. I would have said, fine, you joined the union at a time when we knew you had slaves. That was accepted. That's part of the, like, there's a clause in it, like in the Constitution about handling slaves. Like we knew very damn well. And actually there were a few northern states who had slaves that weren't part of the secession. So I would have said, fine, you can secede. Let's clean. And then after that, I would have said, let's clean up our own act internally and get rid of slaves in the North completely and like do it for moral reasons. And then we can deal with the South as we will deal with a hostile nation that's doing things that we don't like with slavery wise. And there's a whole bunch of things you could have done. You could have said, look, any slave that makes it over the border gets blah, 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 blah. You could, like, there's stuff you could have done, economic sanctions. Yeah. You could have tried to do a lot of things to affect change in the other nation, right? But killing, I mean, it's the bloodiest war in our history. Like, I'm not saying it wasn't worth it in the sense of, like, obviously outlawing slavery was super important. I just think there's other ways to have achieved it that would have been more intellectually and morally consistent with, Because what I don't like, the precedent that's been set, you know how many people say, well, it's been decided that states can't secede because look at the Civil War. And it's like, well, I mean, it was decided because someone shot someone else. Like that wasn't, and then afterwards they had the court rule that it was a good, yeah, you did well because we're the winning side. Like, okay, fine. The winning side decided they were fine, but that's not a, you know, I don't like the idea of your state is in a compact that it's not allowed to leave. What the hell is that? What kind of that's not an agreement. There's no such agreement like that ever. You can't have an agreement that you're bound to forever, and there's never any way, no matter what the other side does.
Kind of sounds like slavery.
Yeah, it's kind of like slavery.
Yeah. Yeah. So, what does that make you? It makes you a supporter of the Confederacy.
Yeah,
that's what they say now. If you talk about the Civil War and mention states' rights, you're a white supremacist Confederate supporter who's fine with slavery.
I come
These
from a long
discussions are
lineage
so
of Confederate
exhausting.
soldiers. I love that kind of stuff.
Do you?
I mean, yeah, I do. I grew up in the South. I live in Alabama. My I have family members that are buried in nearby graveyards that were that fought in the Civil War for the side of the Confederacy. If you look back to Abraham Lincoln's letter to Horace Greeley back in 1862, he specifically states multiple times that it's about preserving the Union and the Constitution and federal authority over the states, and that he would, if he could preserve the Union without freeing slaves, he would do it. If he could preserve the Union with freeing slaves, he would do it. And his fundamental, paramount goal was to preserve the federal authority over the states. And you could argue that Horace Greeley was a pretty extreme Republican, well, maybe not Republican, but he was kind of on the extreme side of things. A lot of people, that's a very hotly debated letter because he says explicitly, I actually have it right here in front of me. He says, my paramount object in this struggle is to save the Union, and it is not to save or destroy slavery. If I could save the Union without freeing any slave, I would do it. And if I could save it by freeing all the slaves, I would do it. And if I could save it by freeing some and leaving others alone, I would also do that. I mean, that's pretty point blank period. And people who have completely, the Emancipation Proclamation, and it 100% was not done under anyways.
It creeps me out that we can't talk about it. That's what it really bothers me. But
you can talk about it. And when you do start talking about it, it makes people uncomfortable. You have to move in the direction of the things that make you uncomfortable. Again, I come from a very long line of Confederate soldiers, and my grandfather before he died, spent a very a lot of his life's work and money in preserving Confederate memorials around the South. And it's not because of any sort of we didn't own slaves. And even if we had, I wouldn't apologize. It's not my, it's the crimes of my fathers are not mine, or crimes of my father are not mine. But at the same time, it was about, it's my heritage, it's my lineage. I'm not going to apologize for it.
Too much is made of this. Slavery is wrong, but slavery was normal globally for a long time. And so, but
it's just still normal in many places in the world today.
Yes. And I'm not trying to minimize, and again, it's when you talk about it, you have to do all these qualifiers to make sure people don't think you're just fine with slavery, because they would love to tag you with that for just even having this conversation.
And there's any fine with slavery in the West, as if you would say that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a Yankee public school educated girl who is now aware that I was served a narrative about the Civil War.
Right.
And I know that I don't really know much about it, but I know I was served a narrative. And I know that I'm not allowed to talk about it. I'm not allowed to question the narrative. Or I'm dabbling in evil, And when you start feeling that, that's when I really want to read and understand more. That's when I'm
guilt by association,
there's something here that you're hiding. And I just want the truth. I just want to know why the war was fought, what was going on culturally at the time. Politicians are power mongers. What were they doing? And so I don't know.
If you look to collections of private letters and things like that, you can probably get a better idea of what was happening. I don't pretend to be a scholar of the Civil War by any means.
read this
But-
really good book about Lincoln that was not a flattering book about him, and told me
I was gonna say,
something.
well, that's an oxymoron, but yeah, go on. Sorry. I'm not a fan of Lincoln.
Well, an interest. Let me say, when I say good, I mean an interesting book about the truth about Lincoln and what sort of man he was and what he was doing and politically what was going on. That kind of breaks apart some of that, unnuanced black and white, no pun intended, narrative about the Civil War. So.
Well,
I don't
that's the
know.
reason
I mean,
why
that's like a
you're
whole
told
nother
stories
podcast.
about, like George Washington and the cherry tree, and like you get told like these like fables that are, like never even happened, to like kind of like instill this idea of the founding. And I know Lincoln wasn't a founding father, but of like I guess like maybe the first 20 presidents, that they were all like these just these
great men,
just
all great
these
men,
great men, and not without their many faults, and things definitely do tend to be glossed over and lost to time. And again, like you said, oh hi kitty, if you start questioning them, or saying something's not adding up here, then you then are immediately labeled a bigot, or a conspiracy theorist. And it's like, since when was asking a earnest and honest question wrong?
I see in my own time how hard it is to get the truth. In my own time, with things happening around me, how hard it is to find out the facts of a situation. And then I think, well, something that happened 150 years ago is definitely going to be murky, and served to me by the textbook writers, who are all progressives. So,
right.
Yep.
It goes back to the Kaplans and the Pearsons.
And they want me to hate America. And they, I know their agenda is nasty. So.
It's true.
Well, I got to go, Carter.
No argument there. I know. You have a hard stop, right?
Yeah. On that note.
Remind people.
Sunny,
now that everybody,
it's nice to
now that
chat.
everybody
This is
thinks
fun.
I'm a white supremacist.
Girl,
Civil War.
listen,
I'm a
I
Civil War
invented a
denier.
holiday. I invented a holiday. It's the whole year long. It's called No Nuance 2022, where you just like say what you mean and you give absolutely no nuance with it, and just leave it there. Because people who are going to reject it or going to call you whatever, we're going to do it anyways. And like spending your time capitulating to them is an absolute waste of your time and energy. So just don't even do it. No Nuance 2022. Embrace it.
Yeah, I get tired. The culture today is you only have credibility based on your identity group. So like you have to say, as a woman, I'm going to comment on abortion.
Right.
And then if you're a man, you have to say, well, this isn't about me and I don't get to make this choice, but I have this opinion. You have to like qualify everything by your identity before you speak.
Nah.
Yeah. Well, and you have to nuance, because things are going to get, like Elle said, right? They're going to get clipped out of context and played and whatever.
Who
and so everyone
cares?
feels like, yeah, I think who cares is the right answer to that. Which is like people who are going to do that, and then people who get duped by that don't deserve to know the truth anyway.
They
That's
were
their
morons
problem.
to begin with, and they're going to continue being morons no matter what you try to do.
Yeah. If you can't look at context, you're not actually that important. So you don't matter.
Truth hurts.
All right. Well, Sunny, where can people find you?
Where can people find me? My YouTube channel is House of Sunny, and I'm on Facebook and Twitter at Sunny Lohmann. Those are the main places. I do a podcast every week, and I really just recently started tweeting. I never was on Twitter, and now I'm totally black-pilled. I don't think that's a coincidence. And so I don't know how long I'm going to stay on Twitter, because it's so depressing. It's
Twitter's the
so
worst.
depressing. But Facebook is boring. Nothing's happening on Facebook. But anyway, I have my weekly podcast that I do. So that's probably the best place to find me these days.
All right. Well, cool. Well,
Nice to meet you, Elle.
Yeah,
lovely
nice to meet you, Sunny.
chatting. Thanks, Carter.
Yeah.
See you
Thanks.
again.
We'll see you later.
Okay, how do
All
I
right.
leave?
There we go.
That was like the timing there was absolutely perfect. Amazing.
Yeah, that was good.
So anyways,
Elle,
as a woman,
what should we be talking
Carter,
about, Elle?
all right. Well, so listen, here's the thing. There's so many things that we could be talking about, Carter, but I want to talk about CERN and the Large Hadron Collider.
CERN?
Mhm.
Okay.
They're firing it back up. Yeah, that's what that was my thing.
Are you
this
not
week.
like, you don't like the LHC?
I'm not, I'm just a crazy conspiracy theorist on the internet. So like for me, I think a lot of different things kind of go
You have
along with
something
it.
I should share. Hold on, I'll
I
open it up.
no, I just dropped a link in the private chat. I put a image. I put a link to an image from way earlier that was actually just funny.
Oh
But
wait,
no one ever
let's
checks the
put that
private
up
chat here.
while we have it.
Oh,
Here,
it's so
this is the-
funny.
Yeah.
It's from Twitter earlier from Gina Darling. If men were able to get pregnant, this would have never been up for discussion. LOL, fuck this backward ass shit. Oh wait, pardon my wording. Not sure what the proper wording is for this, but I guess people born with male reproductive organs. If that's not correct, please educate me. Sorry if that came off as transphobic. Like that.
I love it. They can't, like, people who are trying to be sincere literally can't figure out what to say.
Stupid.
Yeah. They had it reminds me on NPR this morning, they had this, like, I guess Harry Potter's 25 years old now, and they couldn't interview anyone who wouldn't also have a caveat about it that was like, but I don't like what she says about trans people now. I mean, I don't, I love.
Oh my
It was like
God.
all these people who loved Harry Potter, and
It's a
every
book
single
about
one of them was like,
wizards.
but the trans people.
It's a book about fucking wizards. Pardon my French, but like as someone who grew up loving Harry Potter, I credit a lot of J.K. Rowling's work to reestablishing my love for reading when I was like a teenager, because I based my self-worth on being able to read at a way higher grade level than my actual grade level. Like that was what because I could do that, everything was fine.
That's
and so yes, that was literally how I based my self-worth until I went to college and I learned that none of that meant literally anything. But that's again, if you have to give put an asterisk on everything that you do, everything that you say, and capitulate to the people who can't take your participation in something or your association with someone in good faith, then fuck them. You don't want them around anyways, honestly.
Yeah, I'm 100% in agreement with you on that, and it's debilitating. And I went through a period, I would say, for the past 2-3 years where I started out that way, and then I went through a period of 2 to 3 years where I started getting worse, largely because of some people I was around. But I was getting more nervous about, oh well, let me make a caveat. I don't want to be I don't want to be misinterpreted, and I'm slowly going back to the way I've been for most of my life. I realize how stupid that is, because it's ultimately unsolvable. There is no way someone who's dishonest, who wants to take what you're saying and prove that you're an evil spawn of the devil, will do it no matter how you phrase things, no matter how many caveats, no matter how nuanced you are. They will figure out a way to do it. It doesn't matter.
Well, again, I just don't care what people think about me anymore. I let go of that quite some time ago, and I've never been happier. I do care about the people who that are in the community that we've all built together, that they come to my show or hang out and I talk to regularly. I care about their opinion to a certain degree, but I know that not everyone is going to like everything that I say all the time, and that is okay. And they're welcome to disagree. But people who are just gonna take one thing I say and decide that that's I'm supposed to base my entire define myself by that, they're not serious people.
But they hate everything about you now because you said one thing they didn't like. It's
well, they're gonna continue hating me, so it's all right. Who has the energy, honestly? I don't. I certainly don't.
Some people have an immense amount of energy when it comes to you want to hate on someone. It's I'm going to tap into my hate bank of energy. Yeah.
My hate bank. That sounds iffy.
Yeah. They have an energy of hate bank. So wait, I want to read this tweet this super chat. I don't know what it's about. I've been going over the problem of the lack of PK uralism. Does this mean pluralism? And it's just
pluralism.
Okay. On the left, it seems it's a problem of ideological possession. How should we balance pragmatic pluralism and ideological absolutism?
I know what some of those words
I
mean.
have an answer, but if you want to take it, take it.
Oh, and I have an answer, but I want to make sure that I'm on the same page as you first, Carter. So you go ahead.
Who cares?
Take-
Who cares? If you're
No,
on
no,
the
no,
same
no,
page
no.
as me?
I can't quite define one of those. So go ahead, and I'll jump in.
Well, I think
Well.
I think there's a false premise underlying this question. And I don't blame this person for this false premise because this is the premise that has been rolled out. I mean, it's been part of culture for over 100, probably 200 years, and I think it's false. And that premise is that there is a difference between principles and pragmatism. And there is if the principles are wrong. But if the principles, like proper moral principles, are grounded in reality, and if they're grounded in reality, they're both principled. They're principles precisely because they're generalizations of something that works in reality and is correct in reality. There's not the idea that there's a conflict between what's pragmatic and what's right, I think, is false. And the only reason that people look at that is if you see a conflict, it's either because your principle is wrong or your pragmatism is too short-sighted. You're like, okay, well, yeah, but in the long run, that's not going to work out the way you think it is. Like you're looking at too short-sighted. And I think the idea of pragmatism in conflict with principled approaches was introduced precisely to undermine the principles that make this country great. So that people could argue for compromise and say, well, I understand that liberty is important, but we got to compromise because you can't be too absolute about being able to, and then they just started, you can introduce really, really bad principles and get people to compromise. Like if I say I want a massive totalitarian dictatorship and I get you to compromise on you're an individualist and I'm a massive totalitarian dictator and I get you to come meet me halfway, L.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the end result, I win because you've compromised your principles. And I think in any battle like that, the person who compromises their principles is the one who loses. And what Brand actually talked about this, and I like this. I'm fucking up this quote. I'm paraphrasing, but I think something like in a conflict between two sets of principles, the ones that are tied to reality they win in the end, and a conflict between two sets of principles where either neither of them are tied or neither of them are tied to reality, the one who compromises loses. Like it's the consistency wins. Reality wins in the long run, but consistency wins. So I look at this and I say, well, the problem with the left, is it pluralism? They're not ideologically possessed. They are emotionally driven, and they're offered ideological catchphrases that can be used to justify how they feel about at any given moment. And all those catchphrases are designed in pushing them in one particular direction, which is to undermine Western civilization. So when someone says, how should we balance pragmatic pluralism and ideological absolutism? Like, I don't see that as a balance. Like I can be absolutely say you have the right to free speech. Private property trumps that because they're both derived from individual sovereignty. So you can't say what you want at my house, but at your house you can, or at L's house, whatever L wants you to say. Like that's fine. Like, and we can have those principled positions. That's not a problem, right? Like, and we can, but I don't have to like. I'm not obligated to listen to a communist come over. Like, I don't have to follow them on Twitter. I don't have to have them over my house to give lectures. Like, there is no conflict. They're allowed to say it in their space, and I'm allowed to do it. I don't know. I'm not being super clear anymore. How off am I as far as you're concerned?
Honestly, I'm gonna be flat out honest with you. Sometimes when these sort of questions come up, I feel like I have a tenuous grasp on what it means from the get-go, and then once you start discussing it, not you, the royal you. Once one starts discussing it,
you can blame me or the royal
you get further and further away from what the actual original statement was. And I'm not smart enough to understand what the original question was, to be honest. I don't really believe in compromise when it comes to like fundamental rights and individual sovereignty. So like pluralism, involves a lot of negotiation and meeting halfway, and I don't necessarily believe in that. But I think that one thing that I don't know, that honestly I don't really know enough about the subject to speak on it intelligently, so I'm just going to leave it at that.
Well, it is unclear.
I don't know.
what
That's
is
very
meant by the
satisfying, but I would rather just
No,
not
it
embarrass
is
myself.
unclear about what's meant by pragmatic pluralism, right? And like this idea that we allow other people to have an opinion. Like, of course we allow them to have but that doesn't mean that they get to teach my kids or like
Right.
that I have to let them, speak whatever they want at
Well,
my
it
house.
does
So,
apparently.
Yeah. Well,
Send your kids to public school. So wait, what
This is
happened
actually-
with what happened with school choice? I actually am not up to date
yeah.
on that one.
So we can go through both of those. So actually, school choice, it's also related to I think it's actually related to the coach prayer one, because the coach prayer one, you really have to step back and ask yourself, like, he's an employee at a county school.
Right.
Why does the Supreme Court have anything to say about the rules that the county sets up, who they hire, who they fire, what they allow people to say? Like, why does that have anything to do with the federal government? I don't get. I mean, I get why people like centralized power.
The fact that it got escalated that far to me is baffling.
Yeah, I mean, I would have like. I
here we
think.
are.
I mean, and the correct answer though, the fundamental problem there is, why the hell is the federal government like? Here's how they justify it all, L, right? Well, we gave the state money to do education, and then the state spent some of that money on your school district, and now our grimy little, swamp fingers are in your business. And like that's what you get. You take money from the devil in DC, that's what you get. And like they give out money to all the states, and then they justify their involvement because you took our money, so now you're part of the federal umbrella because you've taken our money.
Well, that's what they're trying to do with these red flag laws.
Yeah.
And it's all groundwork that's been laid. I mean, it's been laid since before the crime bill in 1994, but the 1994 crime bill established a program called COPS, Community Oriented Policing Services, which is under the Department of, I think the DOJ or DHS. And it's funny that over the last few years in particular, you've seen a lot of people, primarily on the left, discussing, we need more community-oriented police, community policing. And they're literally referring to their 1994 crime bill program that was revitalized. I mean, it never went away, but it was kind of reinvented in like 2014, 2015 era under Obama. He had like they started a bunch of, they had a bunch of conferences and small groups and focus groups and things to revitalize the concept of community-oriented policing. And with this new red flag law, it's like the bipartisan safety. I can't even think of the name of it, but like they literally put the word bipartisan in the name of it, which I found hysterical.
The bill, yeah, they did. But like bipartisan gun control,
it's
blah,
called,
blah, blah.
You have to call it bipartisan because it's in the fucking title. Like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Like what?
It's
but a big portion of it is allocated to the COPS program, community oriented policing services, and that's basically offers these underfunded low income areas that their police unit, their local police are falling short. Well, hey, we've got this federal like money where we can bring in federal program. We can bring in federal police to help kind of bridge the gap in these low income areas. And it's just it's a way for them to to lay into us with the federal police force.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's a deal with the devil.
When they talk about how you look at old interviews of particularly Biden, because he was one of the I hate to call him a brainchild of anything these days, but he at the time
he had a brain at the time, and he was more of a child. Yeah,
he was like one of the major proponents of the crime bill, particularly the COPS program. And so it's all just kind of coming full circle. Here we are, 27 years later. Insane as it is, we're a lot of people have, the other day I made a comment on Gab where I just said, Roe v. Wade is over. That's good. Like I'm still focusing on red flag laws, and someone's like, how can you be so blasé about Roe v. Wade being struck down? I'm like, because it's done. Like it's done. Like the red flag laws, like this is going to be an ongoing issue for like the foreseeable future. I mean, granted, I've definitely, I don't know if enjoyed is the right word, but I've definitely experienced and enjoyed collecting and adding to my little archive of, shit on the internet, just different things that people are saying, different actions that have been taken, just collecting different like video and whatnot of different instances in response to Roe v. Wade. But like red flag laws, people are like, well, it's going to get struck down by the Supreme Court eventually, and I'm like, is it? Are we going to be waiting another 50 fucking years like for the right case to go up to the Supreme Court? I don't know. Like I don't feel comfortable with that. So I honestly like I passed on like Thursday night, like when I was like in the middle of like my show and I was talking about it, and like the wind was like taken out of my sails. Like I'm just like, I'm done. I ended my stream like pretty much shortly thereafter. But like I don't know. There's when people are like act like you can't focus on more than one thing at once. Like it bothers me more than almost anything else. They're like, well, while you were paying attention to this was happening. It's like shut up. More than one thing happens literally all the time.
Right. I'm sorry that I'm not omniscient.
Also, Ghislaine Maxwell is apparently suicidal now. So like, there's a lot happening.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Did Hillary
She's on
Clinton tweet
suicide
that
watch
out,
now. No, she's on suicide watch now. Like while all this is going on, of course.
Oops, our cameras broke. Oh,
like
man, we missed her suicide.
They're gonna pull this
she
shit
shot
off
herself
again.
in the back of the head, rolled herself up on a carpet, and dumped herself in the park.
No, she'll probably end up with some sort of electrical cord tied around her neck or around her ankle, as the last two Clinton associated people have. Like the girl that was found in the bottom of the river tied to a cinder block with an electric cord, and then the guy who shot himself in the chest with a shotgun and hung himself at the same time. Which is possible. It's possible.
Sure.
Probable. Not so much, but possible.
Yeah.
In the middle of a field, no less.
Happens.
Could happen to anybody.
Yeah. Well, when the Clintons, there's something about knowing the Clintons that makes you very depressed.
I just don't. The logistics of it's like the guy that I can't remember who it was. It was one of the guys that was January 6th that like pretty quickly thereafter shot himself in the chest like with a rifle in his basement. It's like how often does that kind of stuff actually happen? It seems like it only happens. I don't know. And maybe
is he one of the
I actually tried to look
dudes?
into it. I tried to look into it. It was one of the I can't remember who it was. It's been so long ago now, and honestly, I haven't thought about it until just now. But actually, I tried to look into how often people shoot themselves in the chest with like a rifle or a shotgun recently, which like was gruesome. And I, is what it is though.
It's
and
stupid because you're going to be alive for a little while you're like, it's just your heart. So your brain, you're going to be like, fuck, I'm in pain and dying.
Well, oftentimes women will shoot themselves in like the body as opposed to the face,
right?
Because
they don't want to mess up their.
They don't want to mess up their face, but there's some very. I've learned a lot about this lately. There's some very specific areas that you can aim for if you're going to shoot yourself. But if you're gonna shoot yourself in the face or in the head, and if you miss or if you flinch, it can take a very, very long time as opposed to
you can live too, and that would suck, and you miss in the face or whatever. Yeah.
Sorry. It's so funny.
If you should do it right if you're gonna do it.
Let me just go on the record and say I will literally never kill myself. So there.
That's good. Yes. Yeah. Me too. I don't even know the Clintons, so I don't feel like I have to say that, but I will.
You never know. But no, I was trying to look into it because it always seems like these sort of they shot themselves in the chest. Like it's typically something that women do. And it's the last.
If women don't actually use guns, right, very often in the first place.
Oftentimes, no. That's why women are oftentimes more unsuccessful at attempting
because they do pills and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And men are like, if we're gonna do this, we're gonna.
Yeah, we're doing it.
Lean into it, I guess. I don't know, but yeah, women are significantly less likely to shoot themselves in the face or head. And so like the fact that like the most recent high profile cases were like a man has shot himself, it's like a man who shot himself in the chest. Like, I don't know. Like statistically speaking, these are like anomalous as hell. But here we are. I don't know how we got stuck on this conversation. Sorry. I
don't remember.
I can bring a conversation to a screeching halt in like,
no, it's good. It's fine. I never answered your other question though about to the school choice. You asked about the school choice case. The school choice case is Carson versus Macon. I don't know. I'm just gonna read an excerpt that's in the thing, and just to explain it. Maine has enacted a program of tuition assistance for parents who live in school districts that neither operate a secondary school of their own nor contract with a particular school in another district. So I guess there are spots where there's no secondary education whatsoever available in Maine. Who knew? So Maine now has a tuition assistance program. Under that program, parents designate the secondary school they would like their child to attend, and the school district transmits payments to that school to help defray the cost of tuition. So the school district's basically like, well, we have a primary school, but not a secondary school. You tell us where you want to send your kid to secondary school. We're going to cut a check for you to help defray the cost of going.
What's secondary school? Is that like?
I think it's like high school.
7 through 12.
I think, right? Because primary school is like K through 6 or something, right?
K through 6, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah.
I didn't know I didn't know there was areas of the country where secondary school wasn't available. It's interesting.
Yeah, I didn't either. But apparently. So anyway, but part of their requirement for this is you can't send your kid to a school unless it's non-sectarian, which basically means it can't be religious. And so someone challenged this and said, we want to spend it sending our kid to this private Christian school. Actually, I think it was two different kids or whatever. And Maine said, no, we're not paying. And the Supreme Court ruled you can't deny them this payment that everyone else gets just because they want to spend it on a religious school, because the school meets other criteria. It met the criteria for like a school, right? But you can't limit it. That's just, they basically said like that's religious discrimination and you can't do that. That's the school choice thing. I don't know that's.
Can you keep my cat's like yelling in the other room. Can you keep everyone entertained?
Yeah, go deal with that. I'm going to read some super chats while you're.
All right, cool. We're back, all.
All right. L will be back. You all heard that. Johnny Boy Quick Draw. Let me see if I can find this. I see it, but I want to put it on the screen, and I got to find it in StreamYard. Let's put it on the screen. Hold on. No, it's. Oh, there it is. Thank you, Beverly. Johnny Boy Quick Draw says, I would love to time travel several hundred years into the future to see the confusion on people's faces reading about people in our time, quote, tweeting. They'll know what tweeting is, I think. Well, maybe not. It's like if we read about someone sending a telegraph now, or telegram, it's like, you know what that is. It's just, you don't do it anymore. Or yeah, I'm trying to think of another example. I don't know. The next one is actually, I'm going to wait because the next one is about the CERN stuff, which Elle wants to talk to you. So the 4 cases, I'm just going to talk about the 4 cases quickly, you guys. Right now, I haven't closed the poll. Oh,
I heard
Elle's
you.
Back.
I was just in the other room. Sorry, my cat likes to do this thing where she'll just be in the other room, like just meowing at the top of her lungs. And I always think that she's like hurt, but I think she just like, it's just cat stuff, you know? But I had to check on her.
Yeah.
People with cats get it, and people without cats are like, what? But you know.
Yeah.
Those who get it, get it.
Our cats are a nightmare right now because our cat had kittens and we've given most of them away. And now we still have some kittens left. We have a few kittens left, and our cat the mom has gotten really weird. And like wants the cats outside and keeps trying to like corral them away from us. It's really, What are you gonna do? All right.
Can't mess with nature.
Okay. All
I
right.
don't know, maybe you can.
Let's read. I'm going to read a super chat about the CERN thing, and then you're going to tell me about this because I don't know what you're talking about. Your friend Paul says, I saw a documentary about CERN's shady dealing and how they are trying to instigate World War III. It's called Steins Gate. Very interesting. All
I've
right.
not seen that.
You've got me. What the hell's going on, Elle?
Well, they're taking the Large Hadron Collider. I sent you a link to the CERN website.
Oh, yeah. Here, I'll put it up.
It's the 3rd, 4th, and 5th of July. I mean, it's like, again, I'm just like, these are the kind of things that interest me, but I don't know a lot about them. So by all means, like, gonna probably come up woefully short on here. But on the like 3rd, 4th, and 5th of this upcoming month, they're celebrating the 10-year anniversary of the discovery of Higgs boson. And then there's a symposium. And then on the 5th, they're accelerating the Large Hadron Collider to like the highest level that has ever been at, and like they're gonna be like collisions at like the highest speeds. And like we don't really know what's gonna happen. It's kind of exciting. Maybe the whole world will just explode.
Oh, I don't.
And then if you delve into like all the like, I mean, like, just because I like, again, I don't know enough about these things to speak on them like terribly intelligently, but like depending on who you talk to or listen to, and I'll listen to anybody, see what they have to say. People who think that like different timelines split off at different times, and like the LHC has a lot to do with that, and that if people are aware of timeline splits, they stay on one instead of going to another. And like, I don't know, I find this stuff like absolutely fascinating. And like on the one hand, I want to go, man, these people are like certifiably batshit insane. But on the other, almost every topic where I've thought that just like as a knee-jerk reaction about someone at one point or another, like it turns out that I was like actually just an idiot and they were onto something. So I don't know. But I think it's interesting, and definitely on the 5th of July, they could be discovering all sorts of things. And I just think it's interesting, and I feel like it's something that I haven't heard a whole lot about, aside from like people who like are on like my like circle of like way out there kind of like conspiracy type people. And I don't use the word conspiracy as like a bad word, just like
yeah, no,
they're like deep in the shit, and like I just think it's exciting. So I don't know if exciting is the right word, but the fact that they're doing this over the 4th of July weekend or like week, couple days.
I mean, they don't care. They're not here, so
I know, but like still.
I'm trying to look
like
for
people
there's
think
not
it's
really more
fireworks.
information here about like what exactly is happening. Like, okay, it's very high. They're gonna do a lot of collisions. Like, all right, that's
I mean, do you like? I don't understand really what they're doing here, but like, this is
well, they're trying to get subatomic particles to hit each other. So I'm not a physicist. I'm not a
oh man, me either.
I'm not completely naive with physics. I mean, I have a degree in device physics, electrical engineering, and device physics, but. Yeah, but I'm not a.
Well, I have a degree in English, not to brag.
I'm not like a particle physicist. Like I don't understand this. That's like so I can't speak to this stuff. But I mean, basically, what they're trying to do is discover. They're trying to discover more and more particles because there's a bunch of really small particles that have been like their existence was theorized, and like basically the math works out in a way where it's like, hey. It looks like there's probably this other kind of particle that exists, but we've never like verified it. And so a lot of those experiments have to do with smashing subatomic particles into each other at super high speeds to get them to like release something else or break apart or whatever. And like, that's where you get, that's how they discovered Higgs boson or like verified its existence and that kind of thing. And I don't know, like I don't know if someone at Stephen Hawking's level is able to explain if like there's some probability that another universe is created or a black hole opens up with like blah blah. I don't think that's super likely. They're not taking this is not a lot of mass that anything is being done with. This is like these are tiny particles. It's not like they're taking a bowling ball and smashing it into something else at the speed of light, right? Like so I don't actually get worried about this stuff.
Have you ever seen the opening ceremony of the Gothard Tunnel?
No.
Oh my god. So, the Gothard Base Tunnel, which is like part of like where I guess the like Large Hadron Collider is like held, like during the opening ceremony of this, like it was like a very weird, like ritualistic thing. And
is that the one that looks like Satanism and it's all that like
oh,
guys
yeah.
with goat like horns and stuff?
Oh yeah.
Oh, I did see that. That is creepy. That is super creepy.
I think.
Yeah, here, wait. I found it. You want me to put it up?
I think it's part of all the same shit. I don't know.
Let's see. Gothard Base Tunnel. Here, I'm gonna. Why is this not? It doesn't look like it's sharing properly here. Hold on. Stop sharing. I got to do it again.
I don't know. There's some weird stuff going on in there. And again,
it's
I don't
like,
know. I find it fascinating. I like to listen to like people who are way further out there than I am, like talk about it. But that would be lying if I said I have a better understanding of it than anyone else, because I don't.
Yeah, I mean, so this is some of it's just modern art kind of weirdness, like
it's a very long ceremony.
Yeah, but then there's
too.
parts like this. This is only 6 minutes of it, but where's the parts with the like this stuff? There's parts like this too, though, which are weird. This doesn't scream "Hey, physics" to me. Let's just put it that way. Hey, we're excited about physics. And then where's the one with the
Johnny Boy
head,
Draw says, I did not expect to be discussing this on Nonsense Space. Sorry.
There's this thing, the guy throwing a chain around. That's nice.
It makes perfect sense, you know, when you don't think about it.
Yeah.
Now that was from they opened that. It goes through the Alps in Switzerland. They opened it like in 2016. So it wasn't like
this is not related to the
it's all in the same area from what I understand. And there's a lot of people who think it's all connected.
Here you go. There's the weird like horned people. It's not a goat. It's like it looked like a bird with horns. I don't know what they're doing. I chalked this up to
it's like a ghillie suit.
Yeah, it's like really effed
ghillie
up
suit
art.
on steroids.
I don't know.
Blue Man Group really went downhill. Yeah, they sure did. Did you know that Blue Man Group is like not the same Blue Men? It's like it's been like a plethora of different people. You know who went downhill?
Oh, that's not surprising. They're just like, look,
Yeah.
Can you shave your head and paint yourself blue? Because they'll just go with the cheapest guy. Because imagine being the guy who's like, you can't do this without me. They're like, really? I don't know. I bet we could. We'll just paint another guy blue.
You're a bald blue dude.
No one will know. Yeah.
But Moby has gone downhill.
Yeah,
it's completely
if he needs a
unrelated.
job, he can go be a blue man.
That dude is unhinged. Holy shit. I don't even know what Moby did.
What did Moby do?
He like made music at one point, but he's like,
oh no, I know that, but what's he doing now?
No, his like most recent Twitter, like his Twitter is completely unhinged. I don't know. I like keep up with this kind of stuff, even if I don't really talk about it a whole lot. I've had like 4 energy drinks today, so I'm very sorry. I'm like a little run all over the place right now. Sorry. But before we get too far off track, there was another win in the New York Supreme Court, like right before I came on. The New York State Supreme Court today struck down the law that allowed non-citizens to vote in local elections.
Ooh.
So that's another one.
That just seems so obvious. I don't even get like.
No, Carter. It's bigoted to not allow non-citizens to vote.
Yeah. Russia is responsible for Trump's victory because they bought $100,000 worth of Facebook ads, but we're allowed to let literally non-citizens from other countries. We're allowed. Can you just fly them in then? Can you just send like some 747s to whatever country you want and fly in some voters and have them vote in your local election?
Busing in voters, but this is it's a lot more efficient, I suppose. Yeah, just drop them off right at JFK, let them go vote. Yeah, no, I mean, like the whole argument was that it was in like municipal elections and things like that, and so like it doesn't affect like the national like stage, but the slippery slope, etc.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what honestly I don't know what I think about that because I haven't thought about it too much, but it just seems like a bad idea. What were there residency requirements?
I don't think so. I mean, I don't. Let me look at here. I'll drop the link. It's to Fox News. So sorry about that.
Okay, hold on. Oops.
It's not my go-to, but it was it's what came up first. The law passed in December 2021 created a class of voters called municipal voters, comprised of non-citizens who reside in the city for at least 30 days before an election. So that's
30 days.
That's a pretty low.
So you're visiting.
Like the bar is so low. It's like in the Marianas Trench, and register or pre-register to vote. Under the law, municipal voters were granted the right to participate in elections for mayor, public advocate, comptroller, borough president, and council member. Like that's huge.
Yeah, I don't know. I will say, maybe we'll disagree. I mean, I haven't thought about it too much, but I kind of don't want Washington telling municipalities what their structure of government needs to be and who can vote. Like,
well, it was the New York State Supreme Court that struck it down.
Oh, that's right. Okay, well then
it's the state Supreme Court.
Sure, they probably have something in the I don't know, but I imagine they have something in the New York State Constitution that's like, how about citizens vote? I'm not an expert on the New York State
the second paragraph there says the New York State Constitution explicitly lays the foundation for ascertaining that only proper citizens retain the right to voter privileges. It is this court's belief that by not expressly including non-citizens in the New York State Constitution, it was the intent of the framers for non-citizens to be omitted. I mean, that seemed like the fact that even had to be taken to the New York State Supreme Court is it's really something, but. I guess it seems like, and maybe this is just my ignorance of how like all of this works, but it always seems like all of these different like they come in like waves. Is there like does things like this, like high profile cases, do they all like, is there like a schedule that they're all on? I don't quite understand.
The Supreme Court was
when it rains it pours.
The U.S. Supreme Court was on a schedule, right? Because they're going into recess, so they basically held all their decisions and like dumped them all like right before they went on vacation. So they're like, "Here you go, bye, go burn their cities down later." Like,
Happy 4th.
Yeah, exactly. Happy Independence Day. And actually, I mostly like their rulings, as far as I can tell. They're like, "Happy Independence Day. The feds are getting out of your shit," and the left is all like, "Keep your laws off my body." And I imagine the Supreme Court like that's literally what we just did. We literally just said we have nothing to do with this. That's literally we literally just said we're keeping the federal laws off your body. The end. But
well,
yeah, except for the gun one was a implementation of federal a mandate kind of. Well, it was a striking down something. It was an enforcement, which I like. Did you see the New York State gun one?
What the right to concealed carry?
Sullivan Act.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
From what I understand with that, it was that like they only allowed concealed carry for like very extenuating circumstances, or like if you could fulfill a very specific list of requirements. And we all know that those sort of requirements are not for us commoners.
They're not for the riffraff.
No, for the unwashed masses.
No, not for us.
I'm so glad I live in Alabama. Like I hated it here growing up, and I realized how naive and stupid that was. No, because like I have a gun on me literally like all the time.
Yeah.
Like, well, within arm's reach of me right now, like 4.
I only have one within arm's reach.
Allegedly.
But, yeah.
But
So yeah, I mean, I actually think this is significant though, because this law is old. First of all, the Sullivan Act is from like 1911 or something like that. It's old.
Right.
And it's what they struck down was the may issue idea. So like you don't live in a state like this, so you don't know what it's like, but I'll explain what it's like in California, and you can understand what it's like in New Jersey, New York, and all the other shitty leftist states. It's a may issue state. So and usually the decision is left to the sheriff of the county sheriff or something. And all the law says is if the county sheriff wants to, he can give you a permit to carry. You have to have a permit to carry a weapon. And if the sheriff deems it appropriate, then he can give you one. And in some states like California, there's not really much guidance. So if you go up to Mendocino County or whatever, you can get a permit pretty easily because the sheriff's like, sure, right? But if you're in San Francisco, you can't. I
used to live south of San Francisco. That was a good time.
Where?
I lived in Foster City for about a year.
Oh, I know. Yeah, right across 92.
It's built on top of trash.
Yes,
literally.
It's reclaimed bay.
Yeah. It was actually like it was beautiful in that very specific little area, and it was very quiet. But like, like in the South, if I want to tell someone how far away something is, like I will usually convey, like I'll convey something in an amount of like minutes. Like, oh yeah, it's like 10 minutes from here, 5 minutes from here, whatever. Like you cannot do that in California because something could be like 5 minutes down the road, or 5 miles down the road. But like that could take you like anywhere from like 10 to 30 minutes. Like I had to go from Foster City down to Redwood City, which is I think probably no more than.
That's not long.
If like maybe 10 miles, maybe.
Yeah.
And like there were some days where like that drive would take me an hour.
Yeah, easily. Okay, wait. I've got a California story that you'll appreciate then. I was in LA. So do you know LA and Burbank? Do you know like how far apart they are? They're like Burbank's like.
The last time I was in that area was for the Auburn National Championship in like 2012, but I did fly into Burbank, so kind of.
Here, wait. I'm gonna look it up so I can get the accuracy correct.
It was the last time I had any interest in being in that area, to be honest.
Yeah, well. Hold on to Burbank.
I can't believe Jennifer Lawrence is in the chat right now. Wow. Hi, Jennifer.
Oh. No, nice. Was she the one in is she the one in Hunger Games?
Yeah. The one that everyone thinks they're in right now.
Okay. So it is. Why is Google telling me I want distance here? 20 miles. 20 miles away. That's all. From LAX to Burbank. So my buddy had a flight out of LAX back to San Francisco where we were working, like where we lived. And colleague or whatever. I dropped them off at LAX and I had to get back to Burbank, which is 20 miles north of LAX. I had to get back to Burbank because I had more meetings or whatever. I was in traffic. So I dropped him off at LAX before his flight. I was in traffic on the 405, which is the road that goes between LA and Burbank. I was in traffic on the 405 when he called me from his house in San Francisco.
You gotta be kidding me.
That's what it's like in California. Just for people who are not used to it, that's what it's like. Traffic stories are boring. I shouldn't have given. Sorry. All right.
I mean, like, if you had tried to talk to me about traffic, like, I don't know, like 10 years ago, I'd be like, what are you talking about? Now I'm like, that is kind of interesting. I don't know. Like when I that was one of the biggest. Well, there's plenty of massive culture shocks. Like moving to California for a year, I went there on a work contract. But I'm glad I did it because it's like every like mid 20-something-year-old like woman just up and moved to California. My parents were convinced I was never going to come back. But I think if I had never gone, I would have deeply regretted it and like always had romanticized like the what if I had, but like I hated it from like the moment I got there. Like the bad guy at Safeway like shoved me after I because like I found out that I like got the job and I had to get out there within like 72 hours, and they're like, we can put you on a plane, and I was like, well, like, oh, I want to have my car, I don't want to have my cat, I want to have my stuff, so like, like, and they like offered to like pay me mileage, so like I drove for like for 3 days basically, from North Alabama to San Francisco, and it was like 3 like long hard days in the car, and yeah, like when I finally got there, I like just went to like Safeway to get food, and like the like bad guy like shoved me out of the way to like help me like to like bag myself, and like I just like went back to like the place that I was staying and just like cried. I was like, I hate it here. No one's nice, and that's true. No one really was. I kind of
they're super mean.
I kind of got the impression that like like if something had happened to me, even in like a public setting, that people would just like pull out their phones, like film, and like step over my body and gone over their day. Like it'd been nothing.
Yeah. No, there's either. I think here there's two basic modes. Either you're smug, or you've got a chip on your shoulder, or both. Like that's it. Those are the people that are here. There's hardly anyone. I was talking to my friend about this because he wanted to move to Reno, and he was like, "The people in Reno are nice." Yeah, he was like, you go to Reno, and like if they're in the crosswalk and you're a car coming along and they see you, they like walk faster because it's polite to like, I'll get through the crosswalk quickly for you, just like a normal person would. But he's like, we were contrasting that. We were driving around the Bay Area, and like as he was saying that, there's like a person sauntering and sees us coming, and like, they give you the evil eye and they try and slow down and go as slowly as they can across the road. It's like, that's what it's like here. Everyone's an asshole.
Yeah, and you have to pay like $8 to drive across the bridge, like the Bay Bridge or the Golden Gate Bridge, or like down like the like a little bit further. It costs so much money to like just go anywhere and do anything. At the time, I still smoked cigarettes, and I brought like a full carton of cigarettes to like, because I was there for a year, and I was like, well, this will give me like at least some way, and like I went to go buy a pack of cigarettes in California after like I ran out of that after a few months, and like a pack of cigarettes was like $10. Like, what the hell is this place? I now have my little my contraband. I know they're getting rid of Juul apparently, but like cigarettes are expensive, gas is expensive. I mean, like everything's expensive. Like it's not like that's news, but you can always kind of tell like how expensive a place is going to be by like how much their cigarettes are. And even still to this day, like I don't buy cigarettes anymore, but like I will still like check and see what like the price of a like pack of cigarettes is in different areas and different places, because like it really is a good gauge of like the cost of living. And California
not
like
gas, it's cigarettes
exorbitantly high. No, well, I mean, like honestly, like cigarettes are a good barometer, and also like kind of lets you know like what their like taxes look like and stuff, because like
that's true.
Different places are going to tax cigarettes to like hell and back, and like like everything like related to like petroleum is taxed, but like here in Alabama, a pack of cigarettes is like $5.25, I think, and like in California it'd be like like 9 or 10. In New York City, when I was in New York City and I still smoked, it was like $8 for a pack, depending on where you'd go. Like it's an interesting barometer of like at the time. Granted, I haven't been to New York in like 5 years, but like it's an interesting barometer of like cost of living of a place. That's all.
Oh, here we go. Cigarette prices by state. Well, look, I mean, I don't mean to push back on you. Oh no, you're right. New York is the highest. Damn, New York wins. $11.96.
I was going to say it's probably gone up a lot, because I think the last time I spent time in New York City was like 2017.
You're Alabama is one of the lowest, according to this.
I know.
So
I would assume North Carolina would probably be, or Winston-Salem. Is that North Carolina? Yeah, I would assume they're one of the lower ones, but I don't know.
Yep, they are. Yeah. Well, here I'll just. I can just share this.
People who smoke or have smoked like know exactly what I'm talking about, though. It's like something that like you become like very familiar with, like the ups and downs of the prices and like different areas, or even like different like gas stations, whatever, have different like costs of cigarettes. And I know it's probably gone up significantly in almost every place.
there's the graph, or there's the you can see the orange stuff is higher
I would
prices.
assume Hawaii and Alaska are like one of the
There you
higher
go.
ones. No, not even. I
No,
mean,
here's the
they're
higher
still high.
list. The highest list is right here: New York, Rhode Island, Connecticut, Massachusetts, Minnesota, Alaska, Hawaii,
Okay.
Maryland, Illinois, Washington. There you go.
Interesting.
Were we? Oh, if you add DC, it would have been the second most expensive, $11.75.
Oh, I don't doubt that.
So there you go. And the lowest ones: Missouri, Georgia, North Dakota, North Carolina, Mississippi, Idaho, South Carolina, Nebraska, Alabama, and Wyoming.
Damn.
There you go.
I didn't realize how inexpensive it was here. Anyone who's worked in the service industry knows the slippery slope to becoming a full-time smoker. Because at the time I worked at a bar, and like the only way you could get a break is if you smoked. And so I would just like go hold a cigarette outside, and then you're like, like I'll just take a puff. Famous last words. So
yeah, no, I get it. I've tried smoking. I can't do it. And it's really not important that I smoke, so I didn't keep trying. But yeah,
right.
It didn't do it for me.
Like it's like when you like if you surround yourself with people that like smoke all the time, or like it's that aren't going to be like ew, or you kind of you just don't even really think about it.
It gets tempting, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't had a cigarette in years. I think so. I don't miss them, but I don't really. Again, I don't really judge people who still smoke. I kind of feel like smoke if you got them at this point. Damn, like life's kind of gotten.
Yeah.
JB says almost like places where average pay is lower, things are cheaper. Well, thanks for that.
Yeah, I mean,
it's still interesting though. Like the cost of cigarettes does not necessarily move like in lock with like say like the cost of gas or the cost of like food or it's one of those like weird barometers like that I tend to use just because I used to smoke. That's all. Yeah,
and as much as we keep, well, we're getting to a much more remote work lifestyle for a lot of people, and so I think I don't know if that will change, or if like there definitely are people that were getting paid much higher wages than they would have. I know people who like they left California, they moved, and like their pay didn't go down, but they're in some place where the cost of living is like half. Right. So I don't know if that will even out, but
I made a friend in San Francisco who she lived in her apartment like 3 days out of the week and like owned a home in, I believe, Nevada, and she would fly there for like 4 days on, for like 3 days or 3 days on, 4 days off, and she would Airbnb out her apartment. Otherwise in San Francisco, because like it just her family was back there, but she cut hair and she had like a lot of like very high paying clientele in the like San Francisco area. So like she'd come there for like 3 days a week, cut hair, and like just make enough to take it back to Nevada. I always thought that was interesting. Like,
yeah, I mean, sometimes it can be worth it because like Nevada has no income tax. I don't think. I think they have no capital gains tax. So like I know friends who like started companies in California, and like a year or two before they thought they were probably going to get an exit, they literally moved the headquarters and they moved to some other state, and because the taxes are so high here, you could save a significant chunk of money by just not being here. So I want to read this. I want to read this super chat because I don't know. I haven't seen this. Count Dankula was trolling people on Johnny. This is from Johnny Boy Quick Draw. Count Dankula was trolling people on Twitter over the Roe vs. Wade ruling. He was pretending to be a justice and getting people super angry. Did you see this?
Good. I saw some of it. It was very, very funny.
I didn't see this at all. What was he saying to get people angry?
And
how do you pretend to be a justice on Twitter?
I mean, people are the people are dumb.
Okay. Fair. Just change your name and You look like you're reading.
No, I'm just reading his Twitter. I can't take anything seriously. Like, you just like you just have random like corporations like we stand with like we'll pay for you to get an abortion, but like off like
Oh, there's a lot of that now.
like don't
Even
like
Dick's
offer
Sporting
any
Goods
sort
is
of like
we'll pay for
don't
travel
offer like
expenses.
maternity leave or anything like that. It's like, like we support a woman's right to choose, but like it's only if you make this one choice. And honestly, it's the one that gets you back to work by like, Tuesday or whatever. It's just sad. But
Yeah.
I know plenty of other people have already made that point, but just the amount of it is staggering.
Yeah. Well, and this is I guess a lot of people have probably made this point, but this is why they want people either not having kids, or if they have kids, they want both parents back in the workforce as soon as possible, so that you get taxed both the incomes, and you can tax the income of the daycare provider that you're going to have to hire because you're not raising your own children anymore. So if you just look at like from a tax farm management perspective, it's way better to have 2 working parents plus a childcare provider than it is to have 1 working parent, no childcare provider that gets paid, that they can, they might get paid through mutual agreement that I work and you stay home or whatever, but like they don't get paid in a way that they can get taxed. So if you're running a tax farm, it's like, have kids. Either get abortions and get back into the workforce, or have kids but give them to someone else to raise, because that way we can tax people.
Well, if you ever want something truly dystopian to look into, California is one of the the leaders of this. Just look up California Cradle to Career.
Oh, I did, because of you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I did. It's horrible.
Yeah.
We are explicitly wanting to say we will take care of your kids from cradle to career,
literally.
which presumably is a career subsidized by the government in some. I mean, like
that's government approved. He can, as John Kerry once said, those can be the people that go to work to make the solar panels. Like it's I go back to that quote so many times because I feel like it encompasses so beautifully just like the general like hatred and non-care that these people have for like, again, the unwashed masses, the average person. People are like, you've shut down these pipelines, what are these people going to do? And he's like, well, what President Biden wants to do is make sure that those folks are going to be the ones that can go to work to make the solar panels. Like, you've completely upended these people's like livelihoods and careers. You're like, oh yeah, you're gonna just go make solar panels for a living. Like, it's just
buy a Tesla.
They hate
or
people. Oh no, don't buy a Tesla. Elon makes those.
Oh yeah, not anymore. Sorry, buy a whatever Ford or whatever their EVs are.
Oh god,
EVs.
Please no anything but that. I drive a 1997 Nissan Maxima. It has nearly 400,000 miles on it. I love it. I love that car.
Wow, that's pretty good.
No, I love my car. I seriously do. Like it's both very economical and actually genuinely love my car. So it's like kind of two birds getting stoned at once. But have you seen one kind of like other thing? Have you seen Nancy Pelosi elbowing Maya Flores' kid?
Yeah, I didn't know who the kid was. Do you have the video? Or I know Beverly does. She can pull it up if you can't. But
Maya Flores, who was just elected. I just have a random tweet of someone making commentary on it.
Yeah, I think that's what I've seen.
But and it's like in slow motion. But like Nancy like elbows a kid. Like,
because that's a normal thing to do.
All
right, hold on. I'll pull it up.
She's the woman who was just elected. That was like it just like how nasty do you have to be?
Oops. Sorry.
This is just a random person's like tweet, so like I don't know who this person is, but so Maya Flores' kid is down there by her elbow, but like straight up like.
Yeah, here you go, slow motion. Boom. Because they said, didn't they say they wanted the mayor or someone in the picture, so she just elbows the kid
Like,
over? Yeah.
oh God.
She
It's
was
just like
just a
it
lizard
just
person.
it sums it up so.
I'm embarrassed that she's from the Bay Area. I mean, that she's our representative, but I guess there's enough to be embarrassed in California. I shouldn't bother me. Well, at least she didn't sniff the kid's hair or grope the child. I guess that's a win for our politicians. We should be happy that that's the level of her assault on children is merely an elbow. That's
Here's how her deputy chief of staff spanned it just now. Oh my God. It's so bad like this.
All right, hold on.
I mean, he's getting ratioed, which is great. I do love a good ratio on Twitter. Because it builds character.
Yeah.
Like I just like, oh God, I love it. I love it so much. Every now and then. Like I'm like a pig. I just want to roll around in all the mud.
So he writes.
He's the deputy chief of staff for Pelosi.
So he writes, it's sad to see he puts news outlets in quotes, which I kind of agree with. It's sad to see news outlets that know better misrepresent the speaker's efforts to ensure Representative Florov's daughters wouldn't be hidden behind her in all the photos. Oh, come on. Of such an important moment of the family. That's all right. Yeah.
Like,
let's be honest. Drew, we see her already. We didn't need. Where's the elbowing?
Like,
oh, here's the elbowing. So here's pre-elbow. Let's look. There's pre-elbow. I don't feel like she's hidden behind Pelosi.
No, that's a heartwarming moment.
They're not even like touching. They're like their arms are like they're barely touching. Hey, I don't want you to be hidden behind me because you're not at all. Boom. Yeah, well.
555. Come on now. That's funny. It's just, could you imagine being the chief of staff for Pelosi though, honestly? Like, there's no amount of money or vodka in the world, I don't think. Or gin. I've always imagined, everyone always makes fun of Pelosi for drinking vodka, but I feel like she's a gin drinker.
Yeah, I can see her. I mean,
like gin.
I don't know. What do lizards drink? Do they metabolize alcohol the same way?
They just like osmosify it through their skin.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't think she drinks vodka or gin. I think she eats pellets of some kind and probably some live creatures, and with her tongue. I'm not sure. I don't know what she does.
Oh my God.
Elle, what else? Anything else we should be talking about before we end the show? It's been a couple hours.
No, like I could sit here and rabble rouse forever. Honestly, I took off on Saturday because I wasn't feeling very well and kind of spent the weekend out. So I'm kind of coming back into it a bit fresh faced and unawares of all the ins and outs of the particulars of things. But I'm going to continue focusing on red flag laws and the cops program on my show. And making fun of them. I think honestly the most important thing that people can do is not to no matter who or where your stances are, no matter what you believe in, like anyone who's trying to control how you feel is trying to control like a lot more than just like your emotions. They're trying to control your behavior and your like stress levels, and like just make fun of them. Anybody trying to control how you feel is just not someone to be considered seriously. So there's a lot of that right now, a lot of the like emotional turmoil. I've even seen a lot of people like because I follow people like across the political and belief spectrum, and like a bunch of like the gay Republicans were like getting really upset that Clarence Thomas made the comment that he did about like gay marriage, and it's like how many times have we gone through this? Like, how many times have we gone through this where like a clickbaity, like rage-inducing headline has caught everyone's attention? Everyone's like gone up in arms about it without actually reading the fucking opinion. Start on page 31 for anyone who hasn't read the opinion, who actually cares about like what Clarence Thomas had to say about like, again, like the states' rights versus like with like gay marriage and things like that. Like, start with page 31. But like honestly, I'm just kind of getting back into it myself. I took off on Saturday, like I said, and it's just a big old shit show, isn't it? Happy almost 4th of July, everybody.
It is. Hold on, I'm gonna look up page 31 right now because I have it here. I gotta. You're inspiring me to look. All right, I'm gonna. We'll find it. Let's see.
It should be 31.
Okay. Share screen.
I mean, like the fundamental function of the Supreme Court is to declare whether or not something is constitutional, and there is not in the Bill of Rights the right to an abortion or to be
and there's
gay
nothing.
married.
Yeah. I don't think things. I will say I don't think the right has to be explicit. I think you have the rights. However, abortion is a weird issue because the question isn't, do you have a right to a medical procedure? The question is, hey, is that murder? And clearly you don't have a right to murder. So it's a nuanced question. So wait, where are we?
To bring it all back home,
30...
I don't want the state to get involved in defining when life does or does not begin.
Right.
And to go along with the scientific consensus that life begins at conception is, I think, the best base for that.
Where is page 31? Hold on. Page 31 is different if you go off of the... Yeah.
Well, it's 31 on mine. Again, I can show you the exact
word liberty sets, blah, 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 defines a boundary between competing interests. No, I can't find it.
I'll show you after the show.
All right.
Yeah, I had a good time. Sorry, I kind of just got all rambly there, but I'm looking at...
No, that's right. This was a meandering fun show.
Looking at
Pelosi
good. Shoving kids, trying to help them get a better picture.
No, we haven't talked in a while. It was a random fun show. I'm glad we got a chance to catch up. Before we end, let's just take a look at our poll. I'm going to end the poll.
Oh, yeah. I voted in it.
Did you? What did you vote for?
I don't even remember, honestly. I think I said red flag laws.
All right. Well,
or maybe.
Barely.
Choice?
The winner barely. The question was, in the recent barrage of Supreme Court decisions, which is the most significant? The winner barely was New York Rifle and Pistol Association versus the New York Police. So that's interesting, because that's the one that I do think we're going to have a lot of states are going to have to rejigger all their May issue gun laws are going to be like, well, you can't. We didn't really. We started to explain that, and I think we went off on a tangent. But basically, they struck down this May issue crap, and they were like, no, you have a constitutional right. You can't May issue. You shall issue. Is kind of what they said. So I think that'll be really interesting, and you're already seeing a lot of lefty states trying to figure out, well, what can we do? Can we ban them? Can we ban carrying in a bunch of specific places? Can we? They're freaking out about that one. And number 2 that you guys voted for was the abortion one, which is 40%. And number 3,
you know what I think will help?
School choice.
More gun-free zones.
Right? Yeah, that totally works all the time.
Help.
Yeah, that's not a problem. By the way, wait, one last thing that's totally freaky. Where was I? It wasn't in the U.S. Did you see this thing in South Africa?
Probably not.
About the bar? You didn't see this?
You're speaking in riddles. I don't know what you're talking about.
Hold on. The people that died at the bar? No?
No.
That's fine. This happened yesterday. I just think it's totally freaky. It's totally freaky. I mean, maybe it'll turn out to be some explanation, but I don't care about your cookies, Lamont. All right. 21 people died in a packed bar.
Oh.
No marks. There's just a bunch of dead people. They don't know why.
Gas leak?
Don't know.
Or something?
Don't know.
Yeah.
South African police were on Monday combing a township tavern where 21 teenagers mysteriously died as survivors described a battle to escape the jam-packed premises, and one reported suffocating smell. So maybe it was a gas leak. Officials have ruled out a stampede as the cause of deaths. Most of the victims, some as young as 13, were found dead inside a popular bar. What the hell's a 13? Never mind. 17 died inside the bar. 4 died in the hospital. It sounds like some kind of poisoning, backache, tech, chest, vomiting, headache. I don't know. It just, when I first heard the story, it sounded really freaky. A bar full of dead people with no marks on them. But maybe, who knows? Maybe it's not as
The
freaky.
horse's name was Friday.
Right.
Sounds like one of those
All right.
puzzles. Sorry. No, that's send me the link to that or put that in the private chat. I want to see it.
Yeah, who knows? All right. Well, thank you, Elle.
Yeah, it was a
joining.
blast. Anytime.
Yeah. Remind people where they can find you, how they can follow your work, and watch you do research real time.
Well, yeah, I'm on the internet a lot of the time. I'm at gab.com/SomeBitchIKnow, Telegram, SomeBitchIKnow, Truth Social, SomeBitchIKnow, because someone stole my other username. And I am on twitch.tv/L is for the way, because they don't like the word bitch. And you can pick any of those or none of them. And come hang out.
Nice. Well, thank
It's
you
even
so much. I
more.
really appreciate
It's
that.
even more. I make slides for every show and come up with like all like the things I want to say, and then it always goes off the rails.
You are.
It's a good time.
Look. You are a workaholic. You put so much work into the stuff that you do, and it shows. It's awesome. It's awesome. So
I feel like the more I learn, the more I realize I don't actually know anything. So I feel like I don't know. I wish I knew more and could do more, but one step at a time. So
well,
Yeah.
I love your stuff. So keep doing it. As a reminder, everyone, we have no narrative dissonance next week. It's Independence Day, so go shoot guns or do whatever you do.
pew pew.
I think the next show is Rebel Civics on Wednesday. There's no Dangerous Thoughts this week or next week because I'm gone. I will be shooting guns over
Good for
Independence
you.
Day. I get to shoot machine guns over Independence Day, which is
Good for you.
not something I
That's
can
exciting.
normally do in California, so that's good. If you missed Dangerous Thoughts, go watch that Davos episode, which was the Wednesday one. I also did a special on Friday night about 2 of the Supreme Court decisions, so you can check that out if you're interested. There is a Token Minority Report with Beverly and Alex this Thursday at 4, so watch that. Thanks for watching. Share with a friend. Do all that fun stuff. Blah, 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 marketing. Thank you, and I will see you guys in a couple weeks. Yeah, elbow, wrist, L.
Oh,
Elbow, wrist. I
that
can't
good?
do it. I don't know. I'm not a Kennedy. It's not natural. All right, later.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks for sticking around until the end. If you're new to Unsafe Space, check out our deep content library that includes discussions with everyone from James Lindsay to Brett Weinstein. And please consider helping to fund our work by visiting unsafespace.com/donate. You can find us on a variety of social media platforms, and you can find a community of like-minded individuals on our Unsafe Space Discord server, which is open to financial supporters at any level. We hope to see you there.
Warning. This is an unsafe space. Dangerous ideas have been detected. The content of this production does not meet WHO health and safety standards. Please report to a United Nations Sanitization Center immediately. Association with the following individuals is strictly prohibited. Experts who benefit from printing money agree that printing money does not cause price inflation. Trust me, just 2 more weeks to slow the spread of monkeypox. If you think about it, no one should be allowed to express opinions. But don't. Think about it, I mean. That's not your job. Thinking has been scientifically proven to be less efficient than compliance. Science, scientific, and scientifically are registered trademarks of the World Economic Forum. Unauthorized use is prohibited. Computer voice courtesy. Never mind, that last line is fake news. Please disregard it and return to your safe space immediately. There will be cake.